Hey everybody, welcome to Shooting the with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Today's topic is much like the topic we did the other day where I asked what is your favorite real gun from movies, TV, fiction. Today we're going to do what's your favorite fantasy gun? And it can be fantasy, sci-fi, comic books, whatever. If there's a weapon that when you were a kid you used to pretend you had it, Thor's hammer, any type of weapon like that. If that's your favorite, I want to hear it. So get ready to weigh in here. I'll start the ball rolling. And you know what? I will say I always wanted Thor's hammer. That was always one of my favorite weapons from comic books. But there's one weapon I grew up with that was more sci-fi, that was probably the most popular thing in the world at the time, and I used to pretend like I had one all the time. And I would love to say it's a lightsaber and that I could trust my blade wielding skills and that I would be a Jedi, but I'm self-aware enough to know that if I did have a lightsaber, it'd be because I was a Sith, not a Jedi. There's too many damn rules as a Jedi. So I would love to say it's that because that was a huge part of my childhood, but there's one gun that was more so, and it is a Star Trek phaser from the original series. I actually have multiple replicas of Star Trek phasers, and I was going to show one here, but I thought, well, I'll get deleted from YouTube for it because even though it's a toy, they'll consider it a gun. So the Star Trek phaser, the Type 2 phaser from Star Trek, the original series, was amazing. Loved it. Always wanted one. I have multiple replicas now. I also liked the Type 1, the little one, that was like the little black piece pulled up out of it. I liked that one. And if you remember, there's a scene where they're in a cave and they need heat. So he takes out his little pocket phaser and heats up the rock. So I've always wanted one of those. I used to take my erasers in school. Remember, you used to get those big erasers, and I would draw on them the actual phaser. I always made sure to get the ones that didn't have printing on them, or I rubbed the printing off so that I could draw the controls for the phaser, and I could sit in school and pretend like I was phasering my teacher when I was in grade school. So that's my favorite, the Type 1 and Type 2 phaser from Star Trek, the original series. Let's see what other people here are saying as far as what their favorite is. I almost just closed the chat instead of doing the thing here, but let's get over here. Coral said the Lawgiver is the quintessential fantasy weapon. I'm not sure what the Lawgiver is. That sounds almost like the universal weapon from the Creed, but I don't know what the Lawgiver is. Is that from a video game or something? I don't know. John Heasley chimed in and says Ghostbuster phaser packs. But don't those just affect ghosts? Are you just going around attacking ghosts? Or, well, if you cross the streams, it can be bad, I guess. But all the people who did the don't cross the streams joke when you were peeing, like you're out in the woods peeing with your friend, camping or something. Not peeing with your friends. I don't really do that. DM Fowles also went the Star Trek route. And he said photon torpedoes. Of course, now you're going to have something to launch them out of. But so I guess you would have to have a starship. But photon torpedoes are pretty impressive. Edgar Cortez weighed in and he said phasers. Phaser guns, just like what I said. My favorite. I mean, they could stun. They could kill. They could vaporize things. They could heat up rocks. They could generate heat, energy, whatever. Take out entire doors, just turn them, nothing, not even a pile of ash left, just molecularly disintegrate things at full power. And plus, if you ever got to bind, you could set them to explode and use them as a bomb. Not that I'd ever want to, but very versatile gun. Klingon Disruptor, a little more violent weapon, but still from the same genre. I don't believe phaser, the disruptors, do they have a mild stun setting? I think or they all can kill you. It depends on what you're reading and what show you're watching, I guess. Practical Bacon says lightsaber is the easy choice. Thorin's first sword, Deathless from The Hobbit, is another favorite. I didn't know I'd see anything from The Hobbit, but like Sting and Thorin's sword and Gimli's hammer. There's all kinds of things from Hobbit that would be great weapons. And from Lord of the Rings, etc. Excuse me. Big fan of dwarvian weapons. Yes. Well, Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, that was made by dwarves, just different dwarves, made of Uru by the dwarves. Tim Allen said Han Solo's DL-44 blaster, the Mauser broom handle that it's based on, is a pretty cool real life gun too. That's true. I always have wanted a Han Solo blaster. I would love to have one of the replicas. I think Never Enough Ammo has one of those replicas, which is a reason why we can all hate him, because he's got one I don't. Okay, here's a unique one. That was Tim Allen there. This is John Mandrick, Captain Caveman's Club. Yes, that is a very versatile weapon. You can fly with it. You can use it as a flashlight. You can use it as a flamethrower. You know, all kinds of things it does. So it does a lot of stuff. I don't remember everything from the day, but I remember a lot of it. Danny Pinnett. Favorite weapon is Luke's green lightsaber. When I bought a friend of mine his lightsaber for Christmas, that's what I got him, was the Luke green saber. Now, if I got a lightsaber, it's probably going to be red. But my son's got a red one and a green one. So, you know, we got both in there. Mike D says, go big or go home, Death Star cannon from Star Wars. Well, wouldn't just the Death Star itself be the weapon? I mean, if you just had a Death Star, it'd be hard to man it. But, you know, I've always imagined when I was a kid, I always thought if I had something like the Death Star, it'd be manned totally by robots. That way I didn't have to have a big crew or anything. Maybe nowadays it'd be holograms, but when I was a kid, it would be robots. And if you always say, well, what if the robots break down? Well, I'm like, well, you have robots that fix the other robots. There's some robots, that's all they do is fix robots and make sure that they've built redundant robots to fix robots. You know, robots can do whatever, especially if you have a replicator from Star Trek, because the replicator is fucking awesome. I'm like, I never understand, like, well, we don't have this. And I'm like, well, fuck, you got replicators, make it. If you can take people apart one molecule at a time, put them back together just like they were, well, then you can obviously make fucking anything. And it's like when they can't cure a disease. Transporters, they can't cure a disease. Oh my God, this disease is incurable. Well, put them in the transporter and remove that part from their pattern, or use a pattern before they caught the disease, and, you know, just fix them. And do that every time you turn 50. Like, oh, I'm 50, things sore. I'm going back and use my 25-year-old pattern again, but I'm going to keep the memories from my old pattern. Yeah, let's see. Just overwrite your brain at engrams. I think these things through. I take this stuff seriously. John of all trades says Star Trek The Next Generation, Type 1 phaser, hand phaser, wide beam. The thing I like those, I have a replica of one of those, but they kind of look like a dustbuster. When I first saw it, I was like, those look like dustbusters. Mr. Furley said the movie Orgasmo, the Orgasmorator. I have no clue what that is, but I'll take your word for it. Travis T, Megatron from the 80s was my favorite Transformer. Yeah, well, he turned into a Luger. Awesome. I almost wished I'd been young enough to buy one back then, but I was too old for them then. Although I don't think I'm too old for it now. Now I see it. I'm a collector now. If I'd bought it then, I'd been a kid playing with a toy. Now I'm just a collector. But Never Enough Ammo has one of those too. I think he got his stream pulled down one time because he picked it up during a live stream. DM Fowl says the USS Defiant. Well, I don't know if that's a weapon. It's a ship. It's got weapon systems. But the Defiant, if I always said if I had to have one ship from Star Trek for my own, like I'm going to travel the galaxy in it, give me the Defiant. It's not as luxurious. It's pretty bare bones and simple. It's got room for a crew, so you got room to live on it. You can have your holograms run things. But it's one of the most powerful ships it's one of the only warships that isn't a warship, you know. Phyllis Shanice said Excalibur, sword of King Arthur fame. Yes, that's one I thought I'd hear more already, but I didn't hear it yet. Iowa Joe says, do Green Lantern rings count? Yes, Green Lantern rings count. That's a weapon. It's the most powerful weapon in the universe. That's what they always say. So yes, that does count. And who didn't pretend they had a Green Lantern kid ring when they were a kid? I used to go around looking. You know how you'd go to the little cheapy like Dollar General type stores back in the day, the thrift stores and stuff, and they'd have these cheap toys. They always had like a jewelry section, and I always was looking for a green ring from the jewelry section, even if it was one of those glass rings, just so you could play Green Lantern. I've bought a green one once. It was just a green ball, like half of a ball, like a dome with a ring. It was all glass. All of it was hard plastic. And I remember I took it and I used a Sharpie marker or marker equivalent to the time and drew a Green Lantern thing on it. And then I took a little etching tool my grandfather had and carved the Green Lantern label design into it. So I was very serious about my Green Lantern ring. And nowadays, my son's got Green Lantern rings that look just like the ones from the series. They're made of solid silver and all these other things. And, he's got like the red, the green, the purple, the violet, the indigo, he's got all of them. He's even got a ring that has the Infinity Stones around it. All right, that looks like everybody weighing in today. So thanks everybody for chiming in. I'll have to look up pictures of all these to put with the video later. But all kinds of fantasy weapons out there, and it's nice to see what other people liked, what they grew up with, what was important to them. How about you? If you're watching this video, put in the comment section, what was your favorite weapon from fantasy, sci-fi, whatever. Want to hear, and make sure you read everybody else's, because it might stir some memories. You might remember, wait, that was actually my favorite. So let's hear from you in the comment section below. And if you ever want to weigh in on one of these topics in person, or just hang around for our open chat afterwards, come to one of our live chats. We do them every night at 6 p.m. except for Wednesdays when they're at 7 p.m. Hope to see you there soon. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.